How you doing, family? Welcome to another Bantu-Morpheus video. Uh, I'm going to talk to you today about, I'm going to pick it up from where I left off on the last video, and I want to talk to you about this dominance and recessive topic as it relates to, I'm going to couch it as it relates to Africans versus Europeans. And the fundamental difference between these two peoples is the difference in the environments in which the two people evolved. The two different peoples evolved. European people just basically came into existence within the last 10 to 15,000 years. Africans have been in existence since the beginning of the human race, and we have never gotten mutated by an ice age, at least not within the context of the history that we know, okay? But I want to really give this, do a whole video on this dominance and recessive character between the two different types of human forms. Let me say it that way. The difference that you have to understand so you can understand the motivation and what drives both kinds of people. And basically the foundation of what has created and continues to drive both types of human forms is one is a sun people who are come from and were in a constant sun environment, and the other people who came from the sun people and were caught in the ice age for 100,300 years. Those people are ice cave people. And I say that not to just insult or anything like that. This is the pure science. Read the book, Iceman Inheritance, and you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about, okay? The difference between sun people and ice cave people comes from a basic, fundamental fight or flight, brute, raw survival perspective. People who are Africans, who basically lived in the sun, evolved in that environment since the beginning of the human development, and evolving to a point where the human form was organized enough that the infinite, perfect spiritual being can express itself and begin to control the human form to a point where it begins to be civilized. Prior to that, it worked on a brute fight or flight survival function. That's how it functioned. The Africans who were evolved out of a purely sun environment were people of abundance. There was an abundant amount of light and sun. There was an abundant amount of food and vegetation, and for people to eat. There was an abundance of seafood and fish and other things like that to eat. There was an abundance of material to build shelters and evolve and learn in, and in the basically the thing you have to understand about an abundant environment. An abundant environment is an environment that is totally conducive to learning and evolving, procreating, and gaining control over the sun environment, which is any environment that is out under the sun on the surface of the planet. And people from that environment, once they got over the fundamental basic things that they needed to learn in order to survive and protect themselves from the wild animals that were also evolving, coming into being, and a lot of those wild animals who were very wild and dangerous, those animals also, many of them went extinct, were extinct. They just disappeared. And then there were others who evolved and became smarter, just like the human forms were evolving and getting smarter and learning how to build and structures, and learning how to build housing, learning how to discover medicines and herbs, and utilize the herbs and the chemicals in the herbs in order to heal themselves. Slowly, over hundreds of thousands of years and millions of years, this process worked itself out. And over that time, the sun people who evolved, and there was no such thing as an albino or anything like that, because there really weren't that many people on the planet to begin with. There was no 500 million, forget about that. I'm talking about hundreds of thousands of people all over the entire planet. And most of it was underwater. After Pangea broke up, that's when the human form started to evolve to a level where it was functional and could build and could discover and could teach itself and could procreate in a healthy way. And life began to, the human form was able to last at least 30, 40, 50 or more years. Prior to that, the human form lasted probably 20 years, 25 years, and then you were either killed by some animal or you died of some disease or something like that. So that's why there were never very many people on the planet. But as the sun people continue to evolve over tens and hundreds of years, thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years, and millions of years, and they finally got to the point where they have dated humanoid. These are not like us walking straight up on two legs, and Professor Kaba Khamenei does a phenomenal job of explaining the chronological development of the human form as it came from being home, and he uses all of the anthropological terminology, Homo erectus, and he talked about how standing up allowed the fluids to flow in a different way, to allow the brain to grow bigger, and allow then the spiritual being to now utilize that improvement and get more sophisticated and get that intuitive intelligence to come through and begin to get control of this form and allow it to be more compliant and more intelligent, instinctively more intelligent, because the intuitive intelligence was now pushing the instinctive intelligence to fall in line and be more compliant. Okay, but Professor Kaba Khamenei does a phenomenal job of explaining that in his book called Spirituality Before Religions. Okay, but the best thing to do is watch his YouTube videos. Just type in Kaba Kameni, Kamene, and just watch his videos. And he is a master teacher. He is right now, I would have to make him my #1 teacher on the planet right now. My masters, my analysts that I use as my master teachers, my babas, there is so many. Jeremiah Kamara, I didn't mention his name. Forget about it. This brother here, Molefe Kente Asante, this brother here, Naeem Akbar, these Naeem Akbar, Molefe Kente Asante, these people are brilliant scholars who have been doing phenomenal work. And these are just a few of the people that I read constantly reading, constantly feeding, constantly learning more. I could bring up books on top of books for you, but that's not the point. The point is Kaba Kameni and Philippe Matthews, along with the other slew of other great scholars, Professor Leonard Jeffries, and Dr. Leonard Jeffries and Professor Smalls, of course, John Henry Clark, and Dr. Ben Jockanen. These are all of my foundational people who I learned from, and now Philippe Matthews and Baba Kaba Kameni, and Jeremiah Kamara, who I always have to mention him because he's the one that frees us from the madness and the insanity of their Bible, not ours, their Bible, okay? But I want to talk about this. We got to get a handle on this difference so that you will understand why the European barbarians, the ice cave people, were able to overcome and dominate the Sun African people who are dominant. The ice cave European mutates of the African people are the offshoots of the African Sun people, right? With all of their abundance and they just have so much. Even to this very day, nobody wants to get near Africa because it's so big and so abundant with resources. It's just, nobody can even, you can't make Africa into one country. It's too big. You can fit America, South America, and damn near everything else inside of Africa. It's that big, folks. Don't let these little maps you see, they're not accurate at all, okay? But the point I want to make here, folks, family, listen to this. Dominance and recessive is good to know because that's the foundation for one most important thing. Dominant is everything African and of the sun, because all human forms is from the African human form. Everything else comes from that. So everything else is recessive of that, because us Africans, we're still here. We haven't gone anywhere. We're still procreating. We have more babies and make more and procreate more than any other human form on the planet, bar none. Got to get that, keep that in your background, okay? Now, let's look at the recessive ice cave mutates, the people who mutated who were Africans when they went in to the caves and the ice age for 100,300 years. That is the going number that most people agree on. most scholars agree on, anthropologically, okay? Now, what happened to those sun people who got caught in the ice age with all of their abundant mindset and their high procreation rate and all of this wealth of knowledge and insight, well, as much as they had at the time? 100,000 years ago, we got to work. It wasn't a whole lot going in the caves and getting caught up in the ice age. Because first of all, if they were living up north, that tells you something about them anyway, because most people didn't want to go up there because it was cold. Okay, so there were probably a lot of albinism going on because of wrong genetic mixing of and inbreeding and things that caused some problems amongst the Africans, okay, who were still learning and trying to figure this stuff out. This is my theory, my concept. And what I believe happened based on the data and everything that I've read, and I want you to do this for yourself. Draw your own conclusions. Don't let nobody tell you you have to be wrong because you don't agree with what everybody else has been saying is supposed to be the right. Draw your own conclusions, but keep it within sync and keep it based on data, analysis, people you trust. I'm reading right now, The Destruction of Black Civilization. I trust Chancellor Williams. He was one of the first people I read when I started to wake up. The first book I read was Destruction of Black Civilization. And everything, nothing is absolute, okay? 99% of what I read in that book has still been I found to be true, okay? And there's a lot of stuff that I've found out later is not even in that book. The only thing I would I know it's not a complaint, correction is what I would say now, knowing what the difference between sun people and ice people. It's very important that we understand that when you're dealing with a dominant and recessive, okay, even though we are African, and even though they were African when they went in the ice cave environment, after 100,000 years, and then another 300 years on top of that, what happens when you get caught in an ice cave environment after 100,300 years? The nose that was once large and wide and designed to function in the sun and hot climate, that's why it's wide and broad to get as much oxygen in as possible. The lips are full and broad in order, because that's just where your lips would be, because it's a sun and hot environment. And the more skin that you have, you can waft off, or what they call whiffed off heat, okay? The skin is dark because the sun is stimulating the melatonin in the skin, and the pineal gland and the other glands that are secreting this fluid is in full ball, okay? Even the hair on the body starts to fade off on certain parts, except where the skin is touching, okay? There's certain still residual hair from when the human form was still evolving, and hair was important because the climate was kind of, you didn't have clothing, so hair was all you had to protect you. Everybody was naked, okay? And when the climate was cold, you had more hair. When the climate was very hot, you had less hair, except for places where the skin was touching. And hair is very good for keeping the skin, allowing the skin to breathe and allow air to pass through. That's what hair basically does. But the nose will be broad to get more air in to help cool down the body. You sweat a lot because the air hitting the wet causes a cooling effect, okay? So having the melanin in your skin is going to also help your skin to fight off the ultraviolet rays of the sun, so you don't burn as easily. But once you get into a desert climate, you got to cover up, because no matter how dark your skin is, you will burn. Okay, and everybody evolved at different levels. As the populations on the planet began to expand and grow, people would branch off and form different cultural groups and tribes and groupings. Okay, and so there was no monolithic cultural norms. There was basic cultural norms, but people tend to want to do different things, and they tended to group off and do their own things. And so that's how you develop to have the Bantus. You have all of the different first people who were very short and small. And then as they began to move into different areas, they would grow in order to fit the environment that they were in. So the human form would adjust. But the first, say, million, 100 or thousands or so were small, pygmy level, 5 feet tall people, no more than 5 feet. That's how small it was, because the human form was still getting it together. You can't grow big until you get it together. Once you get it together, now you can grow big. But in the beginning, the human form was still getting it together, folks. So it was none of this big people stuff. And in fact, I always thought it was a fascinating story to hear about the tall people, the Watusis, and the people in Senegal and places like that, where they're very tall people. Their memory, their verbal, the oral traditions goes back hundreds and thousands of years, and it's passed from person to person. It's fascinating how, without writing, this group of people were taught that their origins were with the small, short-statured people that were the Bantus and I forget the name of. There's another name for Twa people from back then, way back. Okay, and these tall Senegalese tall people would have what do they call that? They would have a like a Mecca. When they would go to Mecca, it was like a, forget the term for when they would do a trip, and they would go back to where they originally started. And when they got to the place somewhere, I believe it's Ethiopia or somewhere in the river valleys of Ethiopia, what is now Ethiopia and Somalia. That's the area where most peoples started, which was a high climate to a certain extent until you get on the other side. And then, but basically that's where they would go back to, those people, Congo and places like that. But when they did it, what they would do is, when they got to the area where the original people still were living at that time, they would turn around and walk backwards, because they're going back to where they came out from. So they would walk backwards the last 25 or 50 feet to honor the peoples from which they came. And once they got to those people and they turned around, they got down on their knees, so that they would be back to the original height, and they would walk on their knees and bow. I get goosebumps just thinking about it, because I respect and appreciate and value that humility. That speaks to a level of humanity that has evolved over hundreds of thousands of years. And that is the humanity that is built into the DNA of us sun people. And that's the difference between the dominance of the sun people and the recessiveness of the ice cave people. And that humility and that inculcation and that saturation of wealth and abundance that we sun people have had since the beginning makes us into people who we are satisfied. We have no drive to capture, corral, and brutalize others. No need. We have everything. And that puts us right in sync with the infinite universal spirit that has everything. And that's why sun people function out of abundance. And we do not have even a notion of what it's like to want to take something from somebody else when there is abundance for everybody around. There is no need to try to own anything because everything belongs to the universe. We take no ownership of that which is given freely to us. Family, that's an African. That's the African way. That is the sun people's way. You can go to South America. You can come here to North America. You go talk to the Native American, the people quote unquote native. That's who they call them now. But the real original Native Americans were Africans that migrated here or evolved from here after Pangea broke up. And they learned how to sail, and they sailed there because they had already mapped the currents. They had mapped, they had already, they had already traveled and charted the lands all over the world long before the mutates went in the caves and got caught in the ice age. We had already mapped the world. And while they were in the ice age for 100,000 years, we were mapping and traveling and I forget the word is escalate, or we would go out and chart the lands all over the world. The concept of charting, they got that. We taught them that. After we taught them how to bathe and stop eating each other, after they crawled out the caves 10,000 years ago when we were running into them, okay? You gotta understand this, family. Got to understand this and put everything in context. The reason I say this is because as I'm reading the destruction of African civilization. So I want to stay on this abundance theme, because that once you get this abundance, desperation, which is the opposite, and hungry and desperate is the opposite of abundance and plentiful and humble and fulfilled and complete and no desire to take from anybody else because everything is available freely to everyone. Okay, the opposite of that is the ice cave mentality. And the problem with the opposite of that is sun people with their abundant mentality. We are not driven to do the things that they do. And this is the thing about positive and negative and balancing forces, okay? When you're an ice cave animal, or a human that becomes more, reverts backwards. Oh, that's the other thing. When you go into an ice cave environment, not only abundance is out, scarcity and starvation is in. And the impact and the emotional trauma that is going to inflict on the spirit is going to cause some very, very serious problems. It's gonna totally change everything about the human form. It's going to be the complete opposite of the sun people, the African sun people. The African ice cave people are going to be starving, desperate. They're going to lose all of their connection to spirituality and the land and nature and God. They're going to lose all of that. All of that. After 100,000 years, they revert back to a troglodytic, brute caveman. And the concept of a caveman is not what you think. We're not talking about Paleolithic man, cave. No, we're not talking about that. When you hear the word caveman, they're talking about them that came out of that ice cave environment. Totally different from a normal sun cave. Some people who, when it rains and they run into the cave because they didn't know how to build shelters yet. Okay, that's totally different. That's still an abundance. More, a being, a human form that is formed in abundance, but still trying to survive on a survival level where they need to protect themselves by going into caves and doing things like that because they have not become sophisticated enough to manipulate and make tools to manipulate the land in a way where they can build more sophisticated sheltering and protection for themselves, okay? That's a different normal kind of evolving and growth in sophistication. When we're talking about the ice cave European people who call themselves quote unquote white, these people have reverted back and went into a segue or a diagonal, an offshoot in a direction of regression, the human form. And once the human form becomes out of control and vicious and just demented is the best word, dysfunctional and demented, which means the mentality is jacked up and warped, and the spiritualness and the ability of the infinite being that we are, and its ability to express itself and raise the level of instinctive intelligence to a point where it is negotiable, that it can be used by the intuitive intelligence of the spiritual being. See, that can't happen if the instinctive intelligence of the human form is bogged down in brute, raw survival. Once you get to that level, family, there is no being nice. There is no love at all. Don't exist. It's pure, raw, kill or be killed. Eat raw meat, eat people, eat anything because you just trying to survive. Drink blood. Blood has nutrients in it. At first it's tough, but baby, after 100,000 years, it gets to be basic. So all these vampire movies you see, that's them. They showing you what they had to do to survive. Cannibalism and eating people, that's them. They in the barbaric, brute, raw survival environment where it's kill or be killed. And that's why to this day, they love killing and eating and cutting off genitalia and keeping it as a trophy. That's them. You don't see no Africans doing no stupid, nasty shit like that. That's them. That's their barbarism. And see what they do, everything that some people do, morals, honorable, never lie, your word is your bond. They ain't come from them. They got that from us. Our word, what we believed when we ran into them, we thought that their word was their bond because that's the way we have always lived. They ain't know about no lying and deceit, rape, murder, willy-nilly, because they can. Brute murder, no respect for nature, no respect for human life. They don't know nothing about no respect for no human damn life. Hell, they kill each other. Before they ran into us, they were eating each other, killing, murdering, raping. Rape was normal. They thought that was cute. They thought that was so normal. Okay, here's my daughter. A woman was nothing to them. Weak, because a woman was weak, she wasn't strong. And if you wasn't strong, you ain't nothing. We rape you, we kill you, we use you, we trade you like pennies, give you to people. Because what you gonna do about it? What you gonna do about it? Now, until you can kick my behind and take my head off, I ain't gonna respect you. And to this day, that's how they are. And that's why I tell people, get your martial arts together, get your guns, get your knives, become very good at battle. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, if you think you're gonna negotiate with these things and they're gonna trump and them boogaloo boys and these goddamn crazy, filthy, what do they call them other things? I forget what their name is. It don't matter. You get confronted with one of them, your best bet is to kill them. And then to put the fear of God in the rest of them. That's the only thing they understand. So you're gonna have to come out of this humble bullshit Bible, turn the other cheek crap. Don't do that. But you know what you do? Tell you how you deal with them? Make them think you're humble. Make them think you are giving everything to them. And go along with them. And the first chance you get, take them out. Cleanse the world of the ones that are out of control. Not everybody. You can just, because see, that's not the African way. We don't do that. We don't massacre whole groups of people because we can. That's not the African way. I'm talking about an individual case-by-case basis because righteousness requires discipline. You got to do things for righteousness' sake. And you do not kill easily, and you don't enjoy it. That's not what this is about. That's not what this is about. This is about protection. This is about educating. This is about controlling the animals, the beast. Okay? You got to understand, and you got to play to win. This has got to be sophisticated warfare, guerrilla warfare this has got to be to the 10th power. This ain't no Vietnam. That was cute, and we can learn a lot from that. But we got to step it up. You got to step it up. You got to go along and get along, and so you can change things. And I do agree with those that join armies, get in there, get in positions of power, because you're going to have to control these filthy things. Because you got to understand their DNA is murder and kill because you can. the mob, the gangsters, the Italians. You know who I respect of all the Europeans? The Irish, the Jewish. I respect them because they did what they have to do in order to survive. And the Irish, I respect more than anybody else because they were trying to survive against the English and the brutes, the brutes and the things that come out from the Dutch and all of them filthy things that come out of Dutch and Italy and some of these other places. Folks, let me tell you, study their history. Now, the one thing they don't lie about themselves. But when it comes to Africa, whatever a European tells you about Africa is a goddamn lie. And they have to do that because Europe ain't got nothing. All the wealth and the minerals and the food and everything is in Africa. And so they're in there now, in the Sudan and in Egypt, those Hyksos, those people that they're calling themselves Egyptians, they're not Egyptians, they're Europeans. Those are Eurasians. And they came in and they took the names and they stuck it on themselves. That's what they do. They'll take the skin off of people and stick it. They used to wear it. They used to tell how stupid and dumb they were. They used to cut people's skin off and put it on themselves. That's how filthy and dumb they are. What you're seeing now is just a nice version of that same mentality. It's called the ice cave mentality. And the Native Americans and the people who are of color around the planet, and the other people I do have to respect is the Chinese. Got to give it to them. But see, the Chinese are in a unique situation. There are a whole lot of them, okay? And they're unicultural, basically. They're different. They have Mandarin, and there's another language that they have different cultures too. But they're basically all Asians, okay? But some of them are dark Vietnamese. Vietnamese are very dark-skinned Asians. They're black, okay? But they have that Mongoloid. So those were the ice cave people that we ran into first, and we mated with them, and they began to get rid of and shed off their barbaric side, and they became more humane. And they're still very, very tribal and bush-like in their living lifestyle, but they're extremely smart people, extremely smart people. Same with the Chinese. I have a lot of respect for the Chinese that are decent. And what I really respect about Xi Jinping and the Chinese people is their discipline. I really respect that. I respect that. I respect their work ethic. I respect their appreciation for the land. I respect their ability to and their drive to really take care of their people. Not like Americans. Americans don't take America. The American political system has never been designed to take care of the people. The American political system, when you study it honestly and you look at it from a scientific perspective, is designed to use the people to the max because it was built on a slavery mentality. It is built on a criminal, corrupt mentality. America was stolen from the English and the Spanish by force. They didn't want to give it up. Look at the first Revolutionary War. Look it up. They stole America from the English. And slavery was what America, this whole colony, the English colonies and the Spanish colonies and the French colonies, was founded on slavery. and robbing and stealing. They call it imperialism, and they were going all over the planet. But you got to understand, robbing and stealing and taking everything they could get their hands on and claiming it as theirs. Why? Because they could. They had the gun. The Native Americans and the Africans, they don't know about no gun. See, Native Americans, Africans, who were Africans, by the way, who had migrated to America. And when the Mongoloids and the Asians came out of the north, when the ice receded, and they mated with the Africans that were already here and going all the way down to South America, then the eyes begin to get slightly slanted because the Mongoloid Asians, Eskimos they call them now, came down and mated with the Africans who took them in and embraced them, and they got along. There were no wars and all that stuff. That's why when they saw those filthy things come off of that boat, Santa Maria, Nina Pinta, and all that bull crap, when they saw them, they thought they were like the Eskimos and the people that came down from up north. They thought they were like them. They didn't know they were some vicious, nasty, vicious, filthy things. They didn't know that. They embraced them and took them on until they saw how they was. By then it was too late because the diseases started to kick in and wipe them out. But them filthy things, the diseases was killing them, but they were raping. That's why to this day, they want to make a woman have a baby from a rape by their own father. That's how filthy they are. They're still doing it, folks. They're still doing it. Look, 10,000 years ain't nothing compared to 100,000 years. And it certainly ain't nothing compared to 2, 3, 4, 5, 600,000 or damn near a million years. It's nothing. 200 years of America being some damn country? Are you kidding me? That's a joke. That is just a silly, childish joke of this is not we haven't even been around long enough to honestly call ourselves a country. We've been great at creating weapons of mass murder, and that's what they use. But again, that's the same thing, like I said. That's ice cave mentality. And people who are sun people, they don't know how to deal with that. And so the evolutionary process, this is also the evolutionary process kicking in. The old, which is the sun people, never exposed to nothing, they don't know nothing about that kind of desperation and greed and hunger. And see, this is what you got to look at. You got to look at nature of the human form. And this is why they say you need some adversity to make you stronger. Viruses and all these things that are coming around, that's a part of the evolutionary process, family. That's making the human form create an antibody to the virus. So the human form is getting stronger. Okay? So in following in that theme of adversity strengthening the form. So although these European ice cave people, the reason why they can overcome and disrupt the sun people, because the sun people got it all. We don't want for anything. So there's no sense of urgency. There is that's not good, because then you don't continue to want to be better. You tend to want to lay back and just bask in your abundance. See, that's okay and cool, but you gotta, folks, you gotta get this together. There must be a drive. So spiritually, the fact that the ice cave people came into being, that is the will of God. It's the will of Amma, the will of the universe. And it is nature. It is the natural evolution of the human form. But that doesn't mean that shouldn't be a spiritual and moral and principled backstop that we have to put in place to control this new this driving force that really is propelling us and compelling us to be better. And that's what the universe wants. That's what evolution requires, that we be better. Okay? So it's crazy, but in a way, it's good that the barbarians, that the Africans mutated into these new forms. It's actually the will of Amma, the will of the universe. And from a microcosmic perspective, we tend to not be able to see the big picture. The big picture is controlled by Amma, the macrocosmic being. We are microcosmic beings. It's very difficult for us to see the big picture and to be sympathetic with the big picture because we're getting our behinds kicked down here on the ground. Amma, macro being, ain't feeling nothing. Are you feeling anything while the cells in your body are getting their behinds kicked by whatever situation? Because it's as above, so below. That's what's going on in here. The same disruption, the same compelling forces are propelling and forcing you to be better. And that's what these filthy things are. But they're forcing us to be better and be smarter and learn how to deal with them. You gotta understand, and it's making you better. It doesn't feel good, but it's making us better, family. But you gotta understand that the drive that they have coming from nothing and having nothing compels them to be driven on a subconscious level because their human form is so like, rah, I'm hungry, I'm desperate, I want sex, I want to live. Because also recessive has the 24/7 non-stop threat of extinction. Dominant genetics has no threat of extinction. We will always be. Whether we morph into some other form, we will always be. And we are the dominant peoples of human forms on this planet. And when those mutated Africans mate with us because we're dominant, you will never be what they are. That type of human will disappear and become a version of us. Because if they don't, they won't survive out here in the sun. They will not survive. You either survive and comply with nature or go extinct. Nature is not a forgiving, negotiable entity. Okay? No negotiating, don't feel, don't care. Again, another force that don't care. It wants and it does what it does. It's not picking on you or me or them. It just do what it do. That's just how this goes. You got to accept that, okay? Because you can't do nothing about it. So with them, what we have got to understand, sun people, we've got to understand they're ice cave people and they are on the way to extinction. And it's always in their face. You know when it comes in their face? When they look on YouTube and they see me. And then they, you know what else, when else they see it? Let one of their daughters or one of their sons marry and have a baby with somebody that looks like me. And when that baby come out, the baby gonna look like me. Not like them. Might have one of their nose, might have their earlobe or some little thing about them. But when that baby mates with another one that looks like me, that little bit that look like them is gone. Because that's what recessive means. You can't last. You you were never supposed to be anyway. The only reason you got that way is because you went in the caves for 100,000 years. If you'd have stayed out in the sun, you'd look just like me. Might even have bigger lips than me, bigger nose than I do. And put yourself in that position. Me personally, I pray to God in my next life, I don't ever want to be white. European, Asian, I don't want none of that either. I love being an African. Y'all got to get to that. I love African people. That's all. If I had my way, that's all I'd want to see. That's all I want to talk to. I'm sorry. Because we are so beautiful. And all our variations, and all our different shades, and all our different structural, facial, physical forms. We are so vast and so beautiful. They know it. That's why they try to look like us, and they try to convince us that we're ugly. So you might actually be stupid enough to look at them and find them attractive. Now, what African women are doing with their hair, that's because they're getting tired. They don't like nappy. They want to have it easy to take care of. So again, that's that laziness, laid back, got everything attitude. Want everything to be easy. Easy is going to get you in trouble. You want to build muscle? You don't build muscle by not lifting weight. You build muscle by lifting weights. What is weights? Weights is overcoming forces that are bigger than you, making your muscles snap to and produce more stridation and whatnot to lift these heavy weights. And that's why these mutates are here, to make us get up off our behinds and get busy. Nature don't like lazy. I'm gonna tell you right now. You see the lions laying around, but you know what? Lions about to go extinct. Why? Because they laying around, doing nothing. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. These mutates, their job is to get us up off of our asses and get busy. It's been nice. We've had a 1,000,000-year run. It's been nice, but they here now. 10,000, 15,000, let's give them 20 on the high side. Let's give them 20,000 years. Let's just give them that, even though they don't deserve it. But the bottom line is they were sent, they were created. Everything that happens is meant to be. That's my philosophy. Okay? Everything that is meant to be, because the universe don't make mistakes. We fail to interpret that change, and it's a non-negotiable change. The good news is they will make us stronger. We will have to be stronger to overcome their barbarism, their brutality, their viciousness. You will have to, and we are smarter than they are because we are the originals. And one thing about us, we don't die, we multiply. And there's nothing they can do about it because they cannot survive on this planet like that. Cancer, they can do all the DNA and all the work they want to do. But baby, multiple sclerosis, albinism, leukemia, all of these different diseases, that largely they have is because they're in the sun. And they went into the caves and they mutated. Can't survive, can't last long. We'll out baby them. They'll die off so fast that the rate that we baby up, they ain't gonna make it. They ain't gonna make it. And that's just the way it is. So that's the difference. You gotta understand the motivational and the compelling difference between the sun people of abundance and plenty and the ice cave people who are desperate and dying out. Extinction, and they know it. You may not know it. And that's why they want to make sure you never, ever read. They want to make sure you don't even want to read. Because as long as you stay dumb, you won't see anything coming that they're doing. And they are playing 5, 10-dimensional chess when it comes to murder and killing. You don't know nothing about what they're getting ready to do. I'm not worried about it because I know they can't wipe us out. They've tried everything and they haven't been able to do it. And they're not going to ever be able to do it. Nature won't allow it. That's just the way it is. Nature won't allow it. So that won't stop them though. You got to remember, the brains are mutated. The skull, the pineal gland is dried up. There's no melanin. The left side of their brain is dominant, and it is all about fragmenting, segregate, take things apart. Sun people with full melanin and normal, healthy brain development, we're about unity. We're about coming together. We're about live and let live. We're about abundance and plenty for everybody. No need to try to take all the food and everything because there's plenty for everybody. And we love human beings. We love animals. We love the planet. We love it because it's been good to us for 1,000,000 years or more. It's been good to us. We didn't mutate. They did. Okay? So they are recessive, which means dying out. Every time they mate with one of us, they're gone. That's why Hitler tried to do his thing. That's why Boko Haram, that's why the Boogaloo Boys, that's why Trump and all of his neo-Nazi crazy bastards, when they get in and everybody swear, oh, Trump and his people, oh, they like Elon Musk and they think Trump is a goddamn filthy, low-down, stinking gangster, mobster, filthy demon. And once he get in office, baby, he gonna turn this sucker out. And you know who he gonna take out? All them people call themselves Jews, all these Hispanics, and think that Trump liked them. They're gonna be the first ones to go. Because he ain't gonna be able to take us out. We are like roaches. We don't go extinct. They can set off a nuke. One of us is gonna survive. Because this planet here was designed for this form, this human form right here. If they set off a nuke, they can go underground all they want. As soon as they come back out, the leukemia and all the other stuff is gonna start right back up. And new shit that they didn't even know was coming, because this planet is designed, is going to make everything on it look like me. I don't care what they do. It's gonna make everything on this planet look like me and my sisters. Probably the sisters first, and then like me. That's how that's gonna go. Watch, okay? But you have to understand the dynamics of this war that's going on, and the viciousness and the murderous, terrorist, psychopathic, mentally demented sickness that they are. They can't help themselves. That's the way they are. The caves and the ice is in their DNA. And the terror of extinction is always there. Every time they look at one of me, they see, they don't even understand why they feel inadequate and irrelevant. And so this is another little caveat I gotta throw at people that are in that Bible and in them Qurans, and they following these damn Hyksos who created the Quran and these mutates that created this Bible where they practice cannibalism on the first day of every month, drinking the blood of somebody they murdered and eating the body and all this stupid crap. And all these moronic Negroes running around scared, have no spirituality about themselves, dumb, stupid, don't want to read nothing. Oh, I can't read that. It's not in the Bible. The Bible told us don't read things like that. Dumb asses. And let me tell you, the first ones they're going to kill are the ones closest to them. And that's why I don't want to be nowhere near as one of them. Period. I don't have no use for them in my life. I love Elon Musk. I think he's a great guy, smart. I'll buy his car. I'll support his industry. I'll use it to, make money, and use him and use his apparatus to make money. Use the stock market. I'll use their stock market, use their system as long as I can to make money and survive. Because I'm going to survive. I'm a soldier. I'm going to survive. You get ready for that. Okay, so you got to be smart. Stop trying to suck up to these people. Because I don't care what you do. When they look at you, they see dominance. They see the end of they actually believe they're a race. That's the other stupid thing about them. That's how dumb they are. But they can't help it. You could show them the science, but the terror and the overwhelming, compelling terror of being annihilated, going extinct. And they actually believe they're supposed to exist. No, they went through that experience to motivate us to get our act together, because they cannot exist for long. Soon as they mate with us, and they gotta mate with us because the diseases will destroy them. They'll die so fast, it's not even funny. The only way to slow that down is to mate with one of us. Even Kaaba, my great Baba, who teaches me more things than anybody else. Even he sees it and he tries not to say it, because that's not what's going on in the African liberation movement. Nobody wants to promote interrelations with Europeans. But unfortunately, see, part of our abundant human it's just our humanity, folks. You can't not be what we are. This human form is one of the most humane forms on the planet, because we have everything and they have nothing. Everything. That's why if you look at all the monuments in all of Africa, all the monuments, everything that they were doing in Africa, all the monuments, everything they looked at, they saw this big broad nose and these big wide lips. And then they went down to in the Central America and Stonehenge and all these other places up in Asia, and all you see is these big lipped, broad nosed, big headed Africans. Everywhere they went, and they started blowing the noses off all through Egypt. Those people in Egypt right now trying to claim that they're white or black, depending on whatever's convenient for them at the time. All of these games they're playing with white and black and making up all these different labels and titles, none of that shit is going to work. None of it's going to work. Everywhere they go, they're going to see the Sphinx. They're going to see the pyramids. They're going to see the stone carvings that can never be erased. The size of them, the magnitude and size of them, to this day, they still cannot recreate those things based on the tools they know that existed at the time, because they don't have that kind of mentality. They don't have that. They're not that smart. They can't, because they can't imagine how it happened. In other words, it was not really possible. So therefore, Africans didn't do it. There must have been some alien came from. I'm sorry. Oh, these people are so stupid. I don't mean to laugh at them, folks, but I'm sorry. It's just comical. When you know what I know, you will be laughing too. So, but this is all the stuff they have to do. You have to squirm and you have to do all these things because you ain't got nothing. You haven't made nothing. You haven't created nothing. That's why they're trying to leave the planet and go somewhere else, because no matter what they try, everywhere they look, they still see us. They use our science, they use our chemistry, they use our anthropology. Everything they use, we created. All they did was make it a little bit better. And that's what they're supposed to do. They are our progeny. They are. But they are going extinct. They're going to disappear. There's no doubt about it. And we will morph into a more maybe lighter brown for a minute. We'll be light brown for a minute, but the longer we stay in the sun, baby, and we keep having baby after baby after baby, you stay in the sun, you're going to get black. You look up in outer space. What do you see? What are the stars and all the galaxies and all these different things? What are they surrounded by? Dark matter. And they just discovered that. And that dark matter is the universe, is that which they call God. We call Amma. Everywhere. Close your eyes. What do you see? You don't see light. You see black. You see darkness. You see, and everything that exists comes out of the darkness. And Professor Kaba calls it the waters of none. And my brother Baba Philippe Matthews calls it the waters of none, which we got from Baba Kaba, who taught us that. That's just the name we give it. But before us, there were ancestors and people before us who named it something else. But it's still the same. You can't change what is immutable. Immutable means not changeable. You can't change it because it's staring at you all the time. You can't not see it. I was just looking at a picture of galaxies and looking at all these galaxies, and we're a planet called the Milky Way galaxy, and there are millions of galaxies, folks. So how could you have a book that's telling you God is looking at you and God is angry at you because you didn't say a word right? You cursed, you said shit. You used a profane word. God that is running all of this is looking at you and going to beat you up, bad boy, spank you. Now you can't get into heaven. I got this place called heaven, and I'm not going to let you in because I'm mad. You cursed, and you used the name Jesus. You said Jesus, oh, God damn it, Jesus. Oh, you used those words together like that? Oh, I'm angry at you now. Oh, I'm not letting you in heaven. That's it. I'm going to strike you down. Now, how dare you use that word? I'm such a childish, angry deity that's controlling all of this stuff that is so big we can't even see the end of it. But yet, that something that powerful is picking you little nanite that's sitting on an electron that's moving around a nucleus inside a molecule in this body, and it's going to pick you out. How stupid and absurd. And anybody that is following that cult is insane. And you're suffering from a form of what my beautiful brother Baba Philippe Matthews says, Stockholm syndrome. You're suffering from so many levels of trauma that your brain is jacked up from being around these mentally insane, mutated Africans who are going extinct. And what you need to do right now is cut your losses. Cut them off. Throw that Bible in the garbage. Take that Quran and throw it right underneath the Bible. And wake the hell up and stop being a damn fool. Because nobody is watching and nobody cares. A fool is somebody that does something for absolutely no gain whatsoever. And nobody cares. You're chasing shadows and you're chasing con jobs, myths, fairy tales, and outright lies. And you're wasting your time and you're wasting your mental energy being paranoid and following conspiracy theories and stuff that cannot be proven. You're following the ice cave mentality, which is dying out. It has served its purpose. It made us get up off our lazy behinds and work on being better surgery, better dentistry work, everything better. It's what I really respect about Elon Musk, because race never mattered. Elon he just doesn't deal with it. He doesn't function out of race. He's just being Elon. He didn't think about no race and all that other stuff consciously, But he's about making this a better world. And that's why I'll support him to the bitter end. I'll support him to the bitter end. Because he's honestly trying to make the place better. And anybody that's doing that is working with evolution. And anybody that's working with evolution, I'm gonna work with you. I don't care what color you think you are. And I have to admit, I've never heard Elon say anything about color, ever. And he was raised in South Africa, so I know he knows about that inside and out. Okay, family, I hope you got that message. I wanted to get that across to you about the difference between the sun people and the ice cave people. Ice and cave have to go together, because the cave, going deep down in the cave, can transform you. It's a monumental difference, and it is going to trigger a level of desperation that sun people can't even begin to comprehend. We don't have nothing. There's no stable point or anything on the level of viciousness and desperation and greediness and neediness to even be able to say, oh, I see why they're that. And we don't have that. So you got to go over and look at them and see how they are and gauge them against them and do a comparative analysis of what normal is, which is us, and reasonable and decency and loving and compassion and good people and about helping others. They don't know nothing about that. The ones that are pretending, they're pretending as long as you don't push them over, get them up to a line and they get in trouble. Because as soon as they get in trouble and they ain't got enough, they'll be trying to run you over, lock your head off. See, we won't do that. If we get in a pinch and things get tight, we're going to try to work and help everybody else and share what we got, even if it means we got to cut back on a little bit for ourselves. That's just our nature. That's the sun. See, that's the sun people. We're over here. We're always going to try to preserve life. See, that abortion issue, that's their problem. I don't give them, they get rid of it altogether. Don't care. I don't care. Sorry, I don't. Never have. But I respect women. See, that's where my thing is. I don't care if they get rid of it, because See, I know the women, oh, they're not gonna play that. See, you're gonna see some real kicking ass. You let them try to take that. One thing Americans don't like, don't give me something and then try to take it away. See, that's the problem with white supremacy. They gave them sacrosanct. They gave them the ability to kill people of color and get away with it. And now they're trying to take it away. You gave them superiority, supremacy over people of color. And now you try to tell them in 1965, oh, we were just joking. You're equal. They say, oh yeah, bullshit. We're not going to tolerate that. And that's Trump. That's the Boogaloo Boys. That's the guys that were just marching in the Capitol talking about with their white face and their black glasses hiding their face. That's just a modern version of the hood from the KKK. That's the same shit they were doing back in the 1800s and 1600s, and it's still back in the 20th, 19th century. All that crap is still trying to go backwards. They always want to go back to when they had some quote unquote superiority, supremacy. That shit is over. You ain't never ever gonna be super. You never were superior, first and foremost. That was some shit you made up to make yourself feel good because you're a damn moron. And none of us believed it anyway, because you kept going. If you were so superior, why we had to do all the building? Why we had to build the White House? Why you didn't do it, your lazy asses? Because you didn't know how to do it. We had to teach you because we built the monument. You think them Roman pillars, how you think you knew how to carve stone like that? Where you learned that from? What you think the Stone Age was? We're not talking about no damn Clovis Stone Age chipping off things to make some spear. No, that wasn't the Stone Age. That's what you call the Stone Age. We call the Stone Age the pyramids, the Sphinx, Stonehenge. You see them? That's Stone Age. That's our Stone Age. Your Stone Age was chipping off rocks and making them putting them on things and wrapping a rope around it and making it into a spear. That's your Stone Age. That ain't ours. Don't put that shit on us. And I want my young people to understand the difference. That's there. That all that's talking about Flintstones and clubbing women over the head and Bronto burgers and all that other stuff. That's theirs. That's what they were doing. They ain't got nothing to do with us. Don't put that shit on. Don't put that shit on us Africans. I'm telling you right now. Don't put that. It got nothing to do with us. Gotta understand that thing. Ain't got nothing to do with us. And I could go on with story after story of the filthy lies and jive that they've been trying to come down with and put that shit on us. Got nothing to do with us. That Jesus story and all that's the shit they made up. That Quran story, that's some shit they made up. They ain't got nothing to do with us. Because they couldn't even write. They don't have no history to go back on. They have to take ours and twist it and warp it and turn it into pretzels and do all kinds of stuff. And now they have mastered the camera and the TV and the graphics. And now they have all of the CGI and all of the, so now they can tell you lies on levels that you think because it's so sophisticated that it's going to change the lie. It doesn't work on somebody like me who knows the history. Every time I watch your movie Matrix, every time I watch your movie Star Wars, every time I watch your what they call that natural something natural with the two boys what's the two brothers' name? What's his name? Supernatural is the show. Biggest con job and lie I ever seen. Love the show now. The special effects are next level on Supernatural. Gotta give it to him. But that bullshit story about some God being white and his sister is white and she's supposed to be evil and all that other stuff, and they white? Oh, family. Love the show. Nice. But see, I can look at it because I know it's all bullshit. See, but the young people don't know that. They look at that stuff and they buys into that plays into that Bible crap. And they actually believe that crap because you know what? They lazy. They don't want to read nothing. They don't want to read Kaba's book, Spirituality Before Religion. And they don't want to read Chancellor Williams' Destruction of African Civilization, John G. Jackson, African Civilization. Family, you got so many books that will straighten you out, and then go watch a movie like Supernatural. And the what they call that movie with the vampires and whatnot, and how they're so powerful and all this bull crap. But you can watch those things now and look at it and go and laugh at it. But never, you can't believe it because it's an insult to your intelligence for anybody to even think that you could believe some bull crap like that. After reading all the stuff that we know 40 years, there's no way in hell I could look at something like that and be impressed, other than the special effects, because I'm a graphic design artist. So I love the special effects and all that stuff and the way it looks. Oh, it looks beautiful. Oh, yeah. But total joke, total nonsense. And again, all of this they do because they're not relevant. They haven't been relevant, and they still are not relevant. Now, they have made some little nanite growth, some little things with surgical things, and they do good with surgery, but that's not good enough. We can do better. Elon Musk is going to show them what real progress is like. Elon Musk is the man to watch of the Eurocentric mutates. He is amongst the brightest of them. And the people that he's drawing in are the best and the brightest. Not to be confused with the masses of them. Don't be confused, because they're dumber than African Americans are, because they believe they're supremacist. They believe they're better, just in their mind. And that's why I wrote my book, The Power of Belief. If they believe they're better, then they're going to attract things to them that's going to appear to be better. But once you know the truth of the evolution of the human form and the anthropological history of the development of the human form, and you know the difference between sun people and ice cave people, and what their purpose is that I just explained to you, which is to force the sun people to get up off their behinds and be better. Because it's kind of in the nature of the human form to sit back and say, oh, I did enough work. Okay. Ooh, and there is a point in your life when you should sit back as an elder. Once you get into your 70s and stuff, if you live that long, you should be chilling out. I don't care what is going on around you. At 70 something, it's time to chill. And you try to educate and nudge some younger people, but I got these YouTube movies. So I don't have to do nothing else but play with my great grandkids and have fun, because my work is done. Once I finish these YouTube movies and write my book, and that's what I want you to understand, family. It's very important. Professor Kaba, I forget who has said something. One of my great analysts said something to me, and they mentioned the fact of you dying with your music still in you. That music they're talking about, that is your purpose for existing in this life cycle. This human form you got has a life cycle of about 100 years, and if this human form in that life cycle, there is a purpose you were sent here to accomplish, to move the whole human race up. Because the universe, like I said, evolution is only concerned with one thing and one thing only: being better. And if you're not working on that, if you're not contributing to that process, then you're a waste of time. That you serve no purpose, and that's not good. Do your purpose. And you know what? You're going to leave this life cycle. When this form times out, you want to be able to sit back and say, I don't know if I did, I don't know if I accomplished all of my goals. but I can guarantee you I gave it 100%. And I did my very, very best to contribute something to the world. And you can look back at your body of work and say, it is well, it is good. And I can say that right now. So my happiness and my joy and my satisfaction with having lived and fulfilled my purpose is complete. So you want to know what heaven is like? That's heaven. When you know that you have fulfilled your purpose, you're honoring your mother, you're taking care of your mother, you're taking care of your children, you're protecting them, you have educated yourself and trained yourself to be able to defend yourself and your family and your people, both physically, mentally, and educationally, spiritually. You're a well-rounded human being. When you can say that, then you have accomplished your mission and you have lived your life well. And be satisfied and proud, not that you were perfect and everything went exactly how you wanted it. But see, that's what makes life enjoyable, is that you overcome challenges and accomplish your mission anyway. Okay, family? One love, and I'll see you in the next movie. I hope this has been informative. Take care.